Hello everyone, I'm Akshay and welcome back to the Red Devils podcast. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys are doing fine. I'm actually not really excited about the rumors that are floating around Man United. That's really depressing. And we're going to talk about that. First, we're going to talk about the press conference. There's lots and lots of stuff, to talk about. First, we're going to talk about the press conference of Everton, and then we're going to talk about some transfer rumors. And the most important thing that we're going to delve into in the later half of this video is the new potential owners of Man United, and somehow that how David Beckham is related to that. But anyways, before all that, let's talk about the press conference. I mean, it was a decent press conference, but there was some really interesting. A couple of questions were very interesting, but I was really disappointed with two aspects of the Man United, because nobody asked about Jadon Sancho. What is happening on that scenario? Whether he's back in the training, whether he'll be in the squad, or what is happening on Jadon Sancho front. Nobody asked Eriktenhag that question. That was really disappointing. And secondly, nobody even asked about Donny Van Der Beek. I mean, everyone who's following Man United, official app or news of Man United, they know that Donny Van Der Beek is out for at least 4 months, and that is precisely end of the season. So I don't think so we'll be seeing any more of Donny Van Der Beek, although we never actually saw the real Van Der Beek, but still. He was at least a backup of Bruno Fernandes. He was still a squad player, and we really needed, players who can play like Bruno Fernandes, or like at least they are better. At least Van Der Beek was better than Fred and McTominay. But now, because he's injured and we don't have any squad depth, and now we are, we'll be like at the helms of McFred supposedly, and that's very disappointing. But let's talk about what were the great questions around the press conference. And there was in particular one with he was asked about do you need to strengthen your squad in January. And basically, finally, we have a manager who's happy with the win but not happy with the performance. Because let me say this, he actually, even after the match against, I'm actually forgetting the last match when we scored 3-0. I'm actually forgetting the team. I'm really sorry, but there were some good performances. There were some couple of great performances, but still, we in the more the larger portion of the match, we were not particularly in playing great brand of football, and that was noticeable by us. Because we're the Man United fans, we've been watching matches of Scholesy, Giggsy, Rooney, Nistelrooy, and most of them were they played under Alex Ferguson. So we know a manager who knows how to set the high standards high. But after Alex Ferguson, we've been handed over with a couple of clowns like Mourinho. Even I love Solskjaer. I mean, he's a great football legend, but as a manager, he was pathetic. And handing him the job was one of the biggest idiotic decisions Man United could ever do. But let's not talk about Solskjaer, because I love him as a Man United footballer, as a legend. He's still one of the best. He has given me a lot of favorite memories of Man United. But as a manager, he was pathetic. He couldn't even understand that he needed a central defensive midfielder in his midfield, and that was pretty much shocking. And Mourinho never understood that. But finally, we have a manager who's actually interested in playing a great brand of football. And he actually said this in his press conference, that we are playing a good brand of football. We are playing good football all across the field, but still, good is not good enough. And that was music to my ears, because finally we have a manager. Because let's face it, if there was any particular manager and he had 3-0 win. I mean, the managers like Mourinho or Solskjaer, even Van Gaal, and they had a 3-0 win over someone. They'll be happy about it. They'll be playing songs. They'll be like partying in the pubs. They'll be drinking champagne, wine, beer, whatever floats their boat. And actually, they'll be happy about it. They won't even care to delve into the performances of individuals. But there is a manager who's just sort of like Alex Ferguson. I'm not comparing him to Alex Ferguson, but he's just the sort of a manager who's actually talking like Alex Ferguson, because he immediately after the match said this in his interview, that people all over the field were not great. There were some good performances, but we lagged in some areas, and that was brilliant. And finally we have a manager like that, and he himself in his press conference against Everton, he said this, that the good is not good enough. We need to be more clinical, we need to be more ruthless in the attacking zone, and defensively there were good performances. But David De Gea, David De Gea was the man of the match for me in the last match, because he had nothing to do. He had literally nothing to do in the whole match, but then there was 3 saves. Basically there were 2 world level saves that he made, and that was the match winner. Even Luke Shaw himself said this in the post match interview, that David De Gea actually saved us a point, because nobody knows what's going to happen if they scored a goal. So defensively we are not that concrete that we used to be. I mean, I'm sure Maguire and Lindelof were there, but what if Varane picks up an injury? What if Martinez picks up an injury? What if they get a lack of form? So we need players, we need winners. So that was actually music to my ears, because when a manager who just had a win in the weekend and still talking like that, that shows you what he wants, what brand of football he wants at the club. And that's actually very happy, that actually makes you very happy that finally we have a manager who's gonna at least try to make Man United great again. And that is the best thing for me in that press conference. Again, he was also asked about titles, he was asked about FA Cup, and again he made a very one-line statement, and that was a brilliant masterstroke statement by Eriktenhag. He was asked about whether he can win FA Cup, whether we are looking at it a trophy, and he simply said, I really need to read this out. He simply said, in not so many games you can achieve a lot. I mean, I love this line. In not so many games you can achieve a lot, because it's been 5 to 6 years that Man United haven't won anything. We are simply barking on the glory of what happened in 1999 when we were the treble winners and those 13 Premier League titles. But for the past 5 to 6 years we haven't achieved anything. Last year was our worst Premier League performances. We couldn't even score the 60 points. And finally that statement, that in not so many games we can achieve a lot, that is something that the manager knows what he's talking about. Because in FA Cup there are not so many. In Premier League you're going to play 37-38 matches and twice, every team twice, but still there will only be one winner. You can achieve top 4, but that's not the trophy. Achieving top 4 was like Arsenal and Wenger. You don't want that. You want trophies, like what Arteta is doing right now with them. I don't want to talk about Arsenal, because that really pisses me off, because they're actually trying to sabotage the Joao Felix deal, and we're going to delve into that a little bit later. But let's talk about the press conference, and that made me really happy, because there's a manager who wants to play a good brand of football, and that manager is actually interested in picking up trophies. Because let's face it, football is all about trophies. If you can't win trophies, there's no point in playing football. You can't just be play every single game and have a big stadium. Then you're gonna be compared to Spurs, just like what they have done since their birth. Because I have never seen Spurs win anything. That is why I hate every single player. I mean, they're basically football lovers who I can't even remember an example that shit. I mean, they're basically shit. And anyways, they were also asked he was also asked a very good question, that how Rashford can do, what can he do to improve upon his performance, and again he said very good thing, and he said that the focus is always on scoring. Same from Marshall as well. Stay in the game, stay focused 100% for the whole of the game, and in one moment you can change the game. And this is basically what he has observed, and what we had observed in every single game, that what Man United players used to do, because they were phasing in and out of the game every single game. If you could see Rashford, Martial, Bruno Fernandes, they didn't had a great game for more than a year, but there were some couple of these kind of performances. There were quick special moments that they could create something out of nothing. But in the most part of the game, they were moving in and out of the game. There were no consistency wasn't there. The right word would be the consistency wasn't there, and that actually makes you feel like that you need a good squad, because if one player is lacking something, you can substitute him off, sub him off, and you can make another player onto that pitch and see that if something can happen. But that wasn't happening, and that is very disappointing. But let's see. Because now I'm actually happy about that press conference, and I'm actually happy that we have a great manager. And finally, because if Rashford and Martial can link up and Martial can stay fit, because like I've been saying this for the past 13 to 14 videos, that Martial is just like a stripper hanging upside down, waiting to fall down, and we don't want that. We just want him to stay up there and do his wonders. And okay, I'm really starting to imagining Anthony Martial as a stripper. So let's change the topic. Enough about the press conference. Let's talk about the transfer rumors. And this is very disappointing for every Man United fan, because I mean, hold your breath. As far as if you have heard of Mike McGraw, who actually writes for Telegraph, and Alex Crooking from Talksport, they both confirmed this, that Man United have approached Jack Butland from Crystal Palace as a backup goalkeeper. And yesterday there was a representative of Man United who actually said this on some platform, that yesterday Jack Butland did his medical also. And so maybe in 2 or 3 days it's going to be official. But I'm really not excited about this deal, because let's face it, he's a backup goalkeeper. You are not excited about a backup goalkeeper, and when you are actually looking for a striker, a winger, a midfielder, and a centre back. So this deal is not that exciting for me. I'm okay with it. The next thing I want to really talk about, and which actually puts my Arsenal is sabotaging João Felix deal, because sources have confirmed, and this is very, very disappointing, that Atletico Madrid is actually wanting to sell João Felix for over 100 million, but that's not possible in today's transfer market, especially in January. And so they opted out for a loan deal, and everybody knows that Man United were in talks with the Atletico Madrid for a loan deal. And recently it's been mentioned somewhere in the Spanish outlet that Atletico Madrid have asked about 12 to 13 million as a loan fee, and some percentage of his fees. And the two teams who are actually without a striker in Premier League, and one is at the top of the table, Arsenal, and the other one is trying to be in the top 4, and that is us, Manchester United. And both the teams are out of striker, because remember, they don't have Jesus. He is still trying to come back, but they're not going to force him, I'm pretty much sure. So he's going to be back at least after February, or maybe in the latter half of the February. And we don't have anything. I mean, this is actually surprising, because we let Cavani go, and then Ronaldo interview happened in November. You had a whole December to talk some shit out of the transfer market from other teams, and you could have done something about a striker position. But because Glazers, Matt Murdoch, and every single person who's in that boarding committee is one of the biggest assholes ever on the face of this earth. I really want to I'm like criticizing in every single video, and I'm clearing abuses, but it's just that you get pissed off by them so much that you don't know what to do. You're just sick and tired of these assholes, because they are not even trying to salvage a deal. Because let's face it, Atletico Madrid, like I was saying, Atletico Madrid are asking about 12 to 13 million with some percentage of his fees, of his wages, and Man United are on the other hand, who know that they desperately need a striker, are actually offering 3 to 4 million. I mean, just imagine, 12 to 13 million are what they want, and 3 to 4 million are actually what Man United are offering, and they are offering 3 to 4 million plus full salary of Joao Felix. But that is bullshit. They're never gonna take that. You could at least have made some sense into your boarding committee members or recruiters of that negotiation holders, who could have done some background check and have actually offered around 6 to 8 million, or at least 8 to 9 millions. At least let Atletico Madrid think about it. But no, they're just gonna slash 3 to 4 million, like around 2.5 million pound, and that's really bullshit. I mean, they're not gonna let go, because we are in desperate need of a striker. We want to stay in the top 4, and if something, Lord forbid, if something happens to Rashford or Martial, then we are stuck. We don't have a squad depth. We don't have, now Van Der Beek is also out. You can't expect Rashford to play in every single game. You need to rest him out, and we've all seen Anthony Langa is not yet that developed that he can play as a striker or a right winger or left winger. So that is very disheartening to see that what these assholes are doing on the transfer market. But let's face it, we all just want them to go, because if the new owners are there, they're going to be a new management. I really hope they fire every single asshole, even including the security guard. I'm sick and tired of seeing every single person for the past 6 to 7 years in that Man United. I'm like, I have no words. Like, I really don't want to talk about it, because this is gonna take a while. This is gonna take a whole day, and still I'll be like pissing off and annoyed by those Glazers. But let's move on to other stuff. Actually, Laurie Whitwell from Athletic, she actually mentioned that there are no money. There's actually no money at Man United, and that is why they are looking at bargain basement deals, or you can call them as cheap deals, loan deals. That is why they are not trying to chunk some money in the transfer market. They are only focusing on loan deals or bargain basement deals. I mean, they are saying that there's no money. That is why they are going for. There are some news from Sky Germany that we are looking for what his name is, Choupo-Moting from Bayern. And there's news of Memphis Depay, who actually came and flopped in Man United, and now we are actually revisiting that forte, and that is very stupid of Man United. I mean, you could have thought about this. You had whole December to think about this, but still now you are going for bargain basement deals. I mean, are you really kidding me? If this is the management, they should actually they should be we should actually make them stand in front of a firing squad. I mean, this is what we should do. And Choupo-Moting, I mean, like, he played in Premier League, and right now he's in Bayern, but he's out of contract this summer. I think so, and he's just gonna look for at least 2 to 3 years, or at least 2. He's just another. These kind of deals. These Memphis Depay, these Choupo-Moting, these are basically Igalo deals. They are not offering us anything. They won't. I'm not saying they'll be useless, but you can't make them play in every single game. We need a player like Joao Felix who can play in multiple positions. He can play as a winger. He can play the striker. He can actually play as a number 10 also. So you can make Bruno Fernandes rest in some game and start him as a number 10. But no, they are not focusing on that part. All they want is to save money. And even if they want to save money, you can still make some money. Because there was some news from Laurie Whitwell only that Newcastle admirers are Newcastle United are a big admirers of Scott McTominay. I mean, I'm pretty much sure that if you want to talk about it, if you want to sell McTominay, you can actually try to bargain a deal of at least 30 million. Then Wolves are actually looking at Aaron Wan-Bissaka. If you are renewing the contract of Dalot, and you are actually looking at Frimpong or Dumfries as a right back, you can actually just sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka for at least 25 to 30 million also. There is a deal. There is those two deals that you can make, and you can actually get around 50 to 55 millions. Sell McTominay. He's not a. He's never gonna be a Man United midfielder. I mean, I'm pretty much sure about this. He may had potential, he may had that star panache or whatever, but he can never be a Man United midfielder, because let's face it, will Man City ever take him as a starting 11 player? Will Arsenal ever take him as a starting 11 player? Will Chelsea? Will Liverpool? No. If the top 4 teams of this Premier League campaign are not considering McTominay as a starting 11 or even as a squad player, why the hell are we carrying the burden of Scott McTominay? Just make him, sell it to Newcastle. I'm pretty much sure that he's going to start every single game in that team, because they don't have that sort of players. And I'm really happy if he goes. I'm like, I don't think ill of him. This is simply professional, because I've seen Man United midfield with players like Scholes, Giggs, Beckham, but these players are nothing but assholes. You can't take these players into a starting 11 place and then hope that, okay, we're gonna win some title, or we're gonna pick up some trophies, or we're gonna stay in top 4 every single year. That's never gonna happen. So if I was the sporting director, the first thing I would have done is like chunk them out, both Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Scott McTominay, and from that you could get at least 50 to 55 million, and then pay from those 50 to 55 million, buy buy Dumfries or Frimpong or whatever you want, and then after that go for João Felix, pay them 10 to 12 million. I'm sure they'll be happy with 10 millions. But this is not the common sense of board, because board is pretty much useless. Anyways, and I mean, if I'm sorry, I'm like drifting a little bit on this transfer market, because if Man United are saying that they don't have money, we can always sell Phil Jones. Tuan Zebi is out of contract this summer. I don't think we should renew their contracts. I mean, if they're renewing the contracts of Phil Jones and Tuan Zebi, I mean, I wish I could just do something about it. I like just picked up my call and tell this to Eriktenhag, just fuck them out, just leave them. Don't renew their contract. They're not going to provide you anything in the future. So that is pretty much disappointing, and I'm really sorry about this lighting figure, because I have no control over that. I'm really sorry, because if we have a good squad depth, and if we have players like Felix or some other midfielder or another right back, we can actually challenge for trophies. We are actually now we have FA Cup round, and then we have a Carabao Cup, semi-final of Carabao Cup. And believe this or not, many people won't consider Carabao Cup as a trophy, but I still think, because for the past 5 to 6 years, Man United have won nothing. And the way Eriktenhag is playing, the way Eriktenhag is, players are developing under him, I really want them to have a trophy at the end of the season, so that at least that's a big boost for them, for their morale, for their professional mindset. Because if they can win a trophy under this manager in the very first year, believe me, we can challenge for titles, for Premier League titles, for at least in maybe next year. But you need to do something about it. You need to win trophies. Confidence doesn't build on great performances every single game, because sooner or later you'll be having bad performances, and for that you need good squad depth. But again, like I said, Man United negotiators are actually a bunch of assholes, so nothing to say. And that's enough for the transfer market rumors. And okay, the last part, what I was talking about, this is going for quite a while, but the last part was we are actually looking at I already talked about this in my previous videos, that we are actually looking at the 2 potential consortiums who are gonna buy Man United. One is from America and the other is from Middle East. I mean, even if and the latest rumor is that from the Middle East one, David Beckham is somehow related to that consortium, and I mean, he already has a soccer club in America. If somehow he gets into the board and somehow he's in a massive part of a consortium, I would really love that. I would actually love that, because the class of 92, the people who are actually responsible for the greatness of Man United, David Beckham, Scholes, Giggs, I won't say gigs because he didn't speak enough, but I've seen David Beckham as a kid holding that T-shirt, and as a youth making Man United great again. And then he loves United. Everybody knows this. He spat with Alex Ferguson, but then he went to Madrid, and then he went to other clubs. But that's not important. We always knew that he loves United. And if that sort of an ex-player is actually loving loving United and is a part of a new regime, I would really love that. I think so that some sort of Manchester United and of the era of Man United, that when we were great, we need to have some essence of that, so that the new management, the new owners, the new management will actually have a little bit of sense of what they need to do on every aspect of the field. Because let's face it, football is not just about what is happening on the pitch. Now football is all about the brand exposure, football is all about the transfer market, football is all about every single thing that is related to football, a footballing world. So now you need to focus on all the aspects of this footballing world, and somehow that is where Glazers were a bunch of assholes, because they never understood and they never actually loved Man United. They were just businessmen, and that is what is bothering me. Because even if there is an offer from Middle East, and that's around let's say 5 billion or 5.5 billion, and they are ready to chunk that cash, and they want to sell, they want to purchase Man United. But these people won't look at that concept that there's David Beckham or someone who loves United. They'll actually go in the transfer market, they'll actually talk to other consortiums, and they'll actually look for, is there any other potential bidder who wants to bid at least 6 billion or 7 billion. And if there is an offer from America or from any conglomerate or from any consortium, and they are offering 6 billion, even 500 million more than the David Beckham's consortium, they'll actually sell them to them, because they are least bothered of what's happening to Man United and who's related with which consortium. They are just businessmen. They want to chuck money into their pockets, and this is the real deal. That is why we have been facing downside in every single Premier League since Alex Ferguson left, and that is what's bothering me. Anyways, let's hope so that there is some good news. We get some information about the new owners as soon as possible, and there is some better transfer news than Man United signing Jack Butland as a backup goalkeeper, because let's face it, David Beckham is irreplaceable. So you don't need to sign another particular great goalkeeper. So I'm fine with it, but I'm not excited about it. I need some signing. I need at least a striker signing that actually I'm happy about, I'm excited about. So let's face it, if Man United does anything interesting, that's gonna be really good. But anyways, that's all for today. Make sure you like this video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and share it with your Man United fans. Till then, please take care of yourselves, stay healthy, stay fit. Until then, we're gonna upload soon. We're gonna upload another video, and that's gonna be about the match reaction of Man United versus Everton, because I really want Ten Hag to kick Lampard's ass. I really want that. But till then, please take care of yourselves, stay healthy, stay fit. Glory, glory, Man United. Bye bye.